Hey everybody, I'm Cory Smith with Pack Pride. I'm here with Thayer Thomas, obviously NC State football player. Wanted to talk to you today about Pack of Wolves NIL Collective. First of all, what exactly made you want to join the NIL Collective, and what types of opportunities have you already seen in this space as well?
Yeah, I mean, NIL started about, 8 or 9 months ago, and it was, free roaming. You don't really have much rules, much, structure. And I think the Pack of Wolves is a great opportunity for us student athletes to have structure in that area. They came to us and said, we want to present this opportunity with you. And there's a bunch of different things that go into it, but I think the main thing is just connecting with former alumni and people that are really involved around NC State. And it's been good so far.
And I will say, I think from the outside, everybody just kind of sees it as like, oh, it's just the Wild Wild West. Like, there's just opportunities thrown at you all over the place. What has been your experience with NIL as a whole so far?
Yeah, I take it, my main thing is to play football here, right?
Yeah.
So I like to keep my focus on that. But then again, also this opportunity presents itself. It's been cool to really, have my own brand, have my own clothing line. And do things like that. Have an appearance at this, function where I could help support like a Nyheim Hines. But now it's like the Pack of Wolves is a great collective and it's a great organization because now they can do a lot of that work for us, where they can present us opportunities where we don't have to search them for ourselves. And I think it's a good partnership to have, and it's only going to go up from here.
And I'll say this too. Obviously the first two so far have been football players. How influential has that been in terms of, you guys kind of talk amongst each other? How much have you guys talked about the fact of you guys wanting to kind of team up on different NIL opportunities as well?
Yeah, we're football players in general. We're pretty much stronger as a unit. So, we get guys like Devin Leary, Peyton Wilson, my brother, and myself to do certain things. It creates more hype. More people want to do things with us as a group. And then you also get some individual things, but I think, once we get, the bigger guys on board on the football team and obviously basketball and then so forth and so on, it's been good. And, we just got to continue to do some of the opportunities that presented itself. And then, the work is continuing to go forward, and it's been good so far.
And I know it's obviously early on, and this thing hasn't, as we're talking, hasn't even launched yet, or at least, rolled out for people to be able to really know about it a lot publicly. But when you think about the guys that you've already worked with in the past, several of them happen to be, part of this as well. I know you said Nyheim Hines is somebody that you've worked with in the past, probably somebody that's going to be involved in this. I know Mike Glennon, obviously TJ Graham has been heavily involved in it. How much does it help to have those guys that have gone through your experience being a part of this as well?
Yeah, I think those guys in general have our best interest. They've been in our shoes, and they've been in places where I'm trying to be. And so that's the main thing, where it's like I see where they've been. And so I try to take, nuggets from them on some advice here, some advice there. And then also I feel like them having our best interest, they're going to present us some opportunities, that could help us potentially. So they're really good people, and it's all about having really good people around you in your inner circle.
And I know one of the biggest things that when I've talked to everybody involved in this is it's not just about being an athlete. It's about being a student. It's about learning and branding past your career at NC State. Mm-hmm. So how important has that been to you, and how much have you learned really not only from the Pack of Wolves Collective but also over the last year?
Yeah, I've realized my lifespan playing football is not going to be forever, and so I'm going to have to find something to do once that is over. And so I think this is a great opportunity to connect with people outside of football that really care about the football program and athletics as a whole, that could present an opportunity later down the line when A, I could need a job, or B, just have a connection with someone that really cares about NC State. And then me also being from the Raleigh area, I think has really helped that, make the connection a little bit better and a little bit stronger.
And this is not just about, this collective as well. It's also this past year. How influential was this in the sense of you wanting to come back to NC State? You had an opportunity, obviously, in the offseason to look at, the potential to go to the NFL, to try your hand at that. But how big was this in terms of you wanting to come back to NC State?
Yeah, I knew NIL was only going to continue to get bigger. And so with that in mind, I could look at it two ways. Like I could, go pursue the NFL and do that route, or I could come back to NC State knowing that there's probably going to be things set up for me to, do some things through NIL and also through the collective. And it was a huge, reason why I would come back. But also, I think the hype just of our football team in general, just the season that we could have potentially have, is only going to boost our NIL value even more. So that, along with the future is the reason why I came back for sure.
All right, while I've got you here, I know we're talking about NIL, but I have to ask you about the team. You just mentioned it. Obviously, a lot of hype around this team. I mean, how big has this offseason been in terms of the confidence of the team and looking forward to what's to come this season?
Yeah, we know what we're capable of for sure, and I think the main thing for us is this, stay level-headed. Don't really listen to a lot of the buzz and the hype, coming into the season. We know the first game of the season we play ECU and going to Greenville, that's a tough environment, so we can't even overlook that first game for sure. So a good mindset to have is just like focus on NC State and take, you can look at each opponent each week that we play, but in reality, like for us, what we believe in is we're playing NC State every weekend. So we just focus on us and focus on the task at hand. I think that the rest will handle itself.
And the experience on this team. For yourself, this is your 5th year now at the program. 5th year. There's obviously several guys that have gone through all of this. Guys that have gone through injuries that have come back and been big parts of this team. How big has that been to lean on, knowing that you all have the experience of, going through the highs and the lows and going through some of the big losses, but also some of the monumental wins that you guys have had over the years to kind of lean on that going into this year too?
Yeah, I think all the years prior is sort of setting itself up, I think, just for this year. Mm-hmm. We like to speak into existence, but I think the years prior has happened for a reason. The success with the Finleys and the Chubbs in that area is happened, and then we had the bad season, and then I feel like that really made us really look back and work even harder, and then the last 2 seasons sort of catapulted us forward. And I think last year we lost 2 ACC games with a total of 4 points. Happened for a reason. I think this year is going to be the year that we're going to take the next step, and I'm really looking forward to it.
And I got to ask you what you make of Coach Doran's comments too, because obviously over the last week or so, he's gone on record saying, Devin Finley's the best quarterback in the country. He's also said that, he believes the team has potential for college football playoff. I mean, is that something you're buying into as well?
You have to have, high goals for sure, and you have to have that in mind. But once again, you can have those goals and aspirations and, have that picture in your mind. But I think the main thing is just taking it day by day, because you can't get ahead of yourself. That success will come. What's really going to lead you to that success is, having taken each day, winning each day, and understanding that it's a process. And the process, a lot is put into the process. So that's the main thing. And, Leary is going to be this year one of the best quarterbacks for sure in the country. I'm excited that I get to catch passes from him for sure.
All right, and your personal goals for this upcoming season, obviously we're talking before the summer really even gets started, but what are your aspirations for this upcoming season on the field?
Yeah, so obviously team aspirations and goals would be to win the division for sure, and that will put us where we want to be. We'll put us in Charlotte and then win the ACC championship. And usually around, if you win the ACC championship, you're definitely going to be in the conversation for making the college football playoff. Personal goals is I'm like 70 catches away from the all-time catch record, so that would be a great, thing that I could do. I would pass Emeka, but that would be funny, just because we were roommates and everything. But that's going to take a lot of work, and I'm like 10 or 11 touchdowns away from the reception touchdown record. I think Cory has 31, I have 20, so I think I'm like 11 to 12 away. And then obviously just my production just increasing, just because each year I've pretty much increased a little bit here or there. So just take the next step. Hopefully being Devin's main reliable target, and just being a reliable player for the team, and being a team first guy, and just winning a lot of games this year.
I'm going to ask you more about the NIL Collective here in a second, but one more question for you from a personal standpoint. Obviously, for yourself, you get here first, but then Drake comes right after you just a couple years later, and now you've got Lex that's going to be here in a few years, already committed to the program. What has the family atmosphere been like for you guys in terms of how much NC State has bought into you guys as a family as well?
Yeah, I think it really started with Coach Doran, taking a chance. Like, when Coach Doran started talking to me, really, when he came and watched me play my senior year, he didn't put 2 and 2 together that me and Drake were brothers until probably a few months later. Mm-hmm. And then, I think in December and January of my senior year, then he had offered Drake. But I think it just started with Coach Doran's interest in me, and I feel like his interest in me was solely based on what he saw that night he watched me play, and I really believe that. I don't think it was really because of they wanted Drake and they were trying to get me to bring Drake in. And I just think, him, Coach Doran, being very genuine sort of catapulted that relationship we had with our family, and, my parents sort of buying into NC State, buying into Coach Doran and what he was promoting for us. And just, we've had a lot of success here so far, and I think the whole family has been, really blessed and fortunate that they can travel 20 minutes and watch all the kids play. And so it's a dream come true. I wish that I was either a year younger or Lex was a year older, so we could all be on the same team at one time. That would be cool. But hopefully, years to come, I'm watching Lex coming back, watch Lex be the starting quarterback at some point in time. That would be a dream come true for sure. But it's been a dream, and very blessed to be in this position for sure.
All right, I know I asked you a little bit about branding earlier, but I got to ask you about social media too, because that's been a really big aspect in all of this, and it's something that I've seen, from watching your Instagram account, from watching you guys on TikTok, both you and Drake, and everything across the board. How much you guys have tried to build that up too. How important has that been, and how much have you learned from an NIL perspective about that, and how much more do you plan to learn now that you're with the Pack of Wolves?
Yeah, I think NIL has a lot to do with marketability. Like, a company really, if you don't have a platform and you can't, promote yourself or know how to do that, it's going to be hard for them to work with you or do certain things with you. I think your brand and your marketability and the way you promote and the way you handle yourself on social media is, people want to say like social media is the devil, but also social media is like your brand, and like, you can get a lot of things done with that. So I think just building that, and, having a strong sense on social media is like a very important thing in NIL. Especially if you're trying to build your brand and also work with different companies, just to show that you're very marketable.
And one of the cool aspects of this too, it's funny because I've talked to a lot of people that have been with the Wolfpack Club over the years, and just casual fans that have wanted to get to know the student athletes better, get to know the guys that they watch on the field or on the court. You get that opportunity now. I mean, how much have you seen those opportunities to to be able to reach out to the fan base and to be able to interact with them? More so than your first few years that you were here.
Yeah, I think even in social media, like being able to be marketable, like a lot more fans and NC State fans in general are allowed to see and know who we are as people, and then also see our faces, maybe see us outside of the helmet. And so like you're walking around Raleigh, someone might come up to you and start talking to you about a certain game or something that happened recently. But it's been good to have fan engagement and NC State alumni interaction for sure, and I think with NIL, just making those connections is only going to increase.
And my last question for you, when it comes to the future of NIL, when it comes to this Pack of Wolf collective, I mean, how much do you feel like you have a chance to be a big part of what this eventually becomes? Because you are one of the, at this point, one of the founding members of it, I guess, at this point.
Yeah, I think looking back on it, I might have been the first person on our team, maybe even NC State. Like I sort of created my logo or whatever back last summer, and I've been able to sell merchandise online. And if we have a big game and there's like a picture that I like, I could put on a T-shirt and somebody can buy it. And it's been really cool because I've had a lot of engagement with that. But just being like in the groundbreaking ambassador sort of role, I feel like a lot of the people are really going to benefit years on from this. So I might not get the most benefit out of this because I'm only here for 8 more months, but I'm definitely, setting, the bricks up, for the later generations of athletes at NC State.
It's fitting to say bricks on NC State campus. But actually, I said that was the last question. I wanted to ask you one more. You mentioned all the things that you did early on. Are there things that you haven't done yet that you're interested in and you're hoping to get into over the next year plus that you're here?
Yeah, I mean, I've done a lot of different partnerships with local businesses like Amedio's, Sammy's Tap and Grill, and other local businesses such as those. But I think, just my main thing right now is just connecting with other, business owners and CEOs of companies that might be Wolfpack alumni that have ties to NC State, just because I know how important it is to have those relationships for life after football. And I've had a little bit of exposure to those types of events in recent times, so hopefully that will continue, and just hopefully when I come back to Raleigh, if I'm playing in the NFL 10 years from now, my name could hold some weight and I could connect with one of the people I connected with in recent time.
Perfect. All right. Well, thank you, Thayer.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you to everybody for watching. This has been Cory Smith with Pack Pride. Thayer Thomas, NC State football player and member of the Pack of Wolves NIL Collective.